Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are at. Welcome to Mentor Mornings, my friends. So, have you had days that were light, that were amazing? And then have you had days and times that were difficult and challenging? Marcus Aurelius says the body and its parts are a river, the soul a dream and mist. Life is warfare and a journey far from home. Lasting reputation is oblivion. Then what can guide us? Only philosophy. Welcome to Mentor Mornings, guys. If you appreciate this video, hit the thumbs up button, share if you feel it is worthwhile, and subscribe if you are not already. All right, so let's jump into this. So Marcus Aurelius speaks about the body. He says the body is like a river. What does he mean by that? You know, earlier inside the statement, which I didn't quote, he talks about accepting that the body is decaying. Our bodies are constantly moving through time, moving toward death, decay. And that's how we're like, the body is like a river. We're constantly moving. Yet he goes on to say that life is like a battlefield and a journey far from home, which is no surprise because Marcus Aurelius spent much of his time away from home at war. But he goes on to say that what can guide us is only philosophy. Philosophy. What is philosophy today? You know, we hear that, we think about statues and empty college degrees, but really what is philosophy? It's a guiding that inside of our lives. Sorry guys, I had a phone call there, so I'm back on. All right, so he says philosophy. So let's go ahead and look at that. How can we apply that philosophy inside of our own lives? Like when we look at our own lives, how can we apply that philosophy? He says that life to him was like warfare. What is life to you? When you look at your life, you can say life is, and then what follows when you think about it? Is it a dance? Is it a game? Is it a battle? Is it a challenge? Or is it beautiful? What words come after that? And the reason why that's important is because when we say life is, and what follows, that's our overall perspective. It's like a pair of sunglasses that we have on all the time, and it gives us a view of how we approach our life, how we approach difficulty, how we approach the beautiful moments of our lives, how we approach struggle, how we approach relationships. That gives us an overall view. You know, for Marcus, he says life is like warfare. He probably had to look at everyone around him as a possible threat. You know, is that an ally or is that a foe? Are they going to try to take what's mine, or are they okay with what is? And so how do we go on to look at our own lives? And that's asking that question. So Marcus goes on, you know, in regards to, he says, you know, only philosophy that can guide us. He goes on to say, which means making sure that the power within stays safe and free from assault, superior to pleasure and pain. So there's like this another phone call. So there's this part of us that's soft. There's this part of us that is susceptible. And then there's this exterior part of us that protects that soft part of us. You know, inside, what I'm talking about is there's the part that we don't reveal to other people. Even if we want to, there's a part of us that is very delicate. And then there's the outside part of us that protects it. And it's the part of us that we can control and say not impacted by pleasure, not impacted by pain. So to superior to pleasure and pain. And he goes on to say doing nothing randomly or dishonestly and with imposture. So that means making choices on purpose, not randomly letting life just pull us to and fro. Or dishonestly and with imposture, that means standing firm and I'm getting off topic, guys. All right, so I'm gonna go on and continue reading. Not dependent on anyone else doing something or not about it. So that means not being impacted by external influences, not being pushed around by people who are outside. That means going back to what we were talking about with Stoic philosophy, one of the core principles is that we are not controlled by external circumstances. We don't let ourselves be impacted. That means bad stuff is gonna happen, but it depends on how we respond to it. Okay, then he goes on, and this is a really impactful part. He says, and making sure that accepts what happens and what is dealt as coming from the same place it came from. What happens and what is dealt as coming from the same place it came from. And above all, that it accepts death in a cheerful spirit as nothing but the dissolution of the elements from which living things is composed. So when he goes to say, you know, what happens and what is dealt is coming from the same place. What a freeing perspective that is. To be able to look at that and say that you could almost translate it as it's accepting fate, and that outside influences and results are something that come from something almost divine. A natural cause and effect that we mortals just have to accept and view with the same acceptance that we have for changing seasons. Like, we know that summer is coming, and when we have summer, we know that our love of summer is not going to keep it here. It's not going to keep the summer around. So to follow that thought, you know, our love of this, the differences between our love of seasons. Let me gather my thoughts here, guys. Sorry, I'm getting off track. This chicken is just making a bunch of racket. Must be hungry today. So the difference is that we know that summer's gonna return, right? We know that we're gonna go through fall, we're gonna go through winter, we're gonna go through spring, and then bam, we get summer back. But when we face misfortune inside of our own lives, we can't, it's difficult for us to view that as it's just another season. Like, on the other side of misfortune, we're going to learn, we're going to grow, we're going to experience glory, we're going to experience success again. And so the difference of when summer ends, we're able to say, well, I guess we'll go through fall and pretty soon it'll be summer again. When we face misfortune, we say, that's the end. It's the end. How do I get back to that place of winning? How do I get back to that place of glory, or feeling, you know, like yeah, okay, I'm getting off topic again. So our own personal season of glory seems impossible when we have lost all and we are suffering. So what can we do? What can we do inside of our lives today to feel that same assurance in that time of defeat as we do when we know that summer is going to come back around? Well, philosophy, reflection, planning, courage, wisdom, action, and time. You know, like, we all need time in the face of struggle to process, because both success and failure are a natural part of life. And Marcus goes on to finish that thought that he had. He says, nothing natural is evil. If you appreciate this video, guys, please hit that thumbs up button, share if you feel it's like worthwhile, and subscribe if you are not already. Rise unconquered, my friends. I will see you tomorrow morning.